Imagine an aircraft so advanced it is deemed completely invisible. A multi-million-dollar stealth machine that Russian and Chinese air defense systems supposedly cannot even detect. Now, imagine that very same aircraft, the pride of the United States military, limping back to base, damaged by a nation that has been under crippling economic sanctions for over 40 years. It sounds like a movie plot, right? But according to a stunning leaked assessment closely mirroring data from congressional research circles, a recent military operation in the Middle East has left the Pentagon with a jaw-dropping reality check. We often hear political leaders boast about swift, historical military operations. But what happens when the dust settles and the true cost is revealed? Today, we are breaking down a quiet explosion of information. A reported $30 billion loss, 42 U.S. aircraft hit, and a secret 9-point peace draft that changes everything we thought we knew about the power dynamic in the Middle East. If you think you know how modern warfare works, think again. Let's dive in. When news broke that 42 American aircraft were compromised, the immediate question was, what kind of aircraft? In modern warfare, aircraft doesn't just mean fighter jets, it means the entire airborne ecosystem. And when you look at the breakdown, the strategy used against the U.S. military becomes terrifyingly clear. First, let's talk about the eyes in the sky, the MQ-9 Reaper drones. According to reports, at least 24 of these massive hunter-killer drones were lost. Each one of these costs between $30 million to $50 million and can carry up to 16 missiles. While local regional forces claimed the number was even higher, the internal admission of 24 is a massive blow. But it gets worse. The losses moved from unmanned drones to elite manned fighters. 4 F-15E Strike Eagles were taken down, but the crown jewel of this aerial disaster? The F-35. It wasn't completely vaporized, but it was heavily compromised. Hit by a defense system it was supposed to easily evade, the pilot was forced into an emergency retreat. For a jet marketed globally as invincible, this single incident sent shockwaves not just through Washington, but to every country that has invested billions into buying the F-35. Now, losing fighter jets is bad, but losing your support network? That is catastrophic. You see, a fighter jet is only as good as its fuel tank. In this operation, the opposing forces didn't just target the teeth of the American military, they targeted the throat. They hit 7 KC-135 Stratotankers, the massive flying gas stations that allow U.S. jets to stay airborne. 2 were completely obliterated. 5 were severely damaged. Add to that 2 MC-130 Special Operations transports, which were reportedly targeted during high-stakes combat rescue missions trying to pull out downed pilots, and 1 E-3 Sentry AWACS. The AWACS is a flying command center. It coordinates the entire air war. Taking one of these out is like blinding the quarterback in the middle of the Super Bowl. When you add up 24 drones, the F-15s, the F-35, the tankers, the rescue transport planes, and combat search and rescue helicopters like the HH-60W Jolly Green II, you get 42. Never in recent history has the U.S. military lost this much hardware in such a concentrated window of time. With 3 aircraft carriers deployed, surrounded by dozens of warships, and backed by 11 ally nations offering land and bases, the military pressure was immense. Yet, instead of total victory, Washington found itself in a quagmire. This explains why diplomatic channels suddenly went into overdrive. Recently, the major network Al Arabiya dropped a bombshell report outlining a 9-point mutual understanding drafted behind closed doors to stop the bleeding. Let's look at what both sides are quietly agreeing to. 1. The total ceasefire, a complete halt to all air, land, and sea attacks across all fronts, including Lebanon and Gaza. 2. Target protection, a pledge not to strike any military, civilian, or economic targets of the other side. 3. The media truce. Both nations agree to stop using their state media as weapons of propaganda to incite further military conflict. 4. Non-interference, a mutual agreement to stay out of each other's internal political affairs. 5. The maritime guarantee, free, unhindered, and guaranteed safe passage for ships through 3 critical choke points: the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, and the Sea of Oman. The Joint Committee, setting up a shared oversight committee to ensure neither side violates the terms. 7. The nuclear window. If this truce holds, both sides agree to discuss the unresolved nuclear issues within 7 days. 8. Sanction relief. The U.S. will systematically lift economic sanctions step by step if compliance is met. 9. International legalization. Both countries will formally pass this agreement into their own domestic laws following UN guidelines. But here is the kicker, the ultimate twist in this geopolitical thriller. Look closely at that 9-point peace draft. It is strictly between the United States and Iran. Notice anyone missing? Israel. The very country that catalyzed this regional flashpoint is entirely absent from the peace framework. Strategically, Israel has stepped back from the formal paperwork, leaving the U.S. to shoulder the multi-billion-dollar losses and the military bruises, while reserving the right to throw a wrench into the gears of peace whenever it suits them. This conflict has rewritten the rulebook of modern warfare. It proved that numbers, money, and hyper-advanced stealth tech can still be countered by a determined adversary with asymmetric tactics. It forced a superpower back to the negotiating table. As the drafts go back and forth, one thing is certain. The global balance of power is shifting, and the true cost of war is finally coming to light. What do you think? Was this a strategic failure for the U.S., or is this 9-point plan the only way out of a catastrophic global war? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into global hidden history, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.